Good morning, gang. Happy Wednesday. Okay, what I want to talk about today is kind of know your enemy, divide and conquer, that sort of stuff. Okay, now in any battle, okay, and I'll define this in a second here, the most important thing to do is to know your enemy. All right, and I'll give you this, and I'm not just talking about militarily or anything like that. I mean, you think about a baseball team, a football team, or whatever it is, you're going up against a pitcher today, and the guy's got a great curveball, okay? You know that. This is prepping for it. Football team, the middle linebacker is, a headhunter, okay? So you know that. You prepare for it. It's the same thing with prepping, okay? We know who our enemy is. And before you go, oh, I know exactly who it is, listen, hear me out. Okay. Talked the other day about, wildfire preparation or hurricane preparation or job loss preparation or anything like this. This is knowing your enemy and preparing for it. Okay. And this works in all aspects of life. Okay. It could be your job. Two of you are vying for the same promotion. Okay. Not the other person going for the promotion is your enemy, but he is your competition, okay? So you want to know what strengths you have that supersede the strengths that that person has. Knowing your enemy is very important. So there have always been ways throughout history that people have decided to defeat the enemy. Okay. And again, like I said, as preppers, okay, what are we doing? Well, we want to defeat the enemy of a hurricane. Well, we board up the house, whatever it would be. We want to, defeat the enemy of a fire, like we talked about the other day, running sprinklers, having fire extinguishers, whatever it would be. Okay. So you're always trying to defeat the enemy. Now, there's different philosophies, but politically and economically is the one that right now I think all of us know that is the main threat to what we've got going on. All right. And the philosophy that has been using, the tactic that's being used to defeat us, okay, the American public, the world public, okay, is divide and conquer. And especially here in the United States. Now, when I talk about divide and conquer, and I want you to look introspectively at yourself real quick and think about this. This isn't something that's just happened in the last year or two, okay? This has happened in the last couple of generations. Think about the American population, the American public's perception of Arab Americans after 9/11, okay? Any of them. Think of the American public's perception of Hispanics in the last few years. Any of them, okay? Think of the American public's perception of whites or blacks. Any of them, okay? We have been conditioned and trained by the powers that be to dislike those that are different than us. And the funniest part is politicians all the time run on inclusion. I want everybody to be happy together, yada yada. While they say that to your face, behind your back, they're doing anything and everything they can to divide us. Okay? And why do they want to divide us? Well, I'll give you this. Divide and conquer, or divide and rule, is actually a well-researched and well-studied tactic, okay? Or a technique, I guess, if you will. There are 4 elements to it. And I want you to think about this on how it pertains today in the United States or in your country, because, I know Germany's going through the same thing, at least, with all the migrants they've had come in lately, okay? First one, and this is what politicians are doing, okay? Creating or encouraging divisions among the subjects to prevent alliances that could challenge the sovereign and distribute forces that overpower the other. Now, think about that for a second, using the U.S. as an example, obviously, because I'm here. Supporting BLM, supporting Antifa, but at the same time being, oh, gee, we're against the Proud Boys, or we're going to paint them as white supremacists, but we're not going to paint the other side, whatever it would be. So they're fostering this belief through whatever channels they have to divide us, in my example there, by color, okay? Now, if you think about the southern border, okay, there are hundreds of thousands of Hispanic Americans who are American citizens who've been here for generations, or even if they're a new generation, they're Americans, okay? Just because their heritage is Mexican or Honduran or Brazilian or whatever it is, means nothing. I mean, y'all know my background is Polish and Czech, okay? That does not mean that up until 30 years ago I was a communist. That doesn't mean anything there, okay? Because Poland and the Czech Republic obviously were former Soviet states. But, the media tries to paint everybody with one picture. And people, unfortunately, the sheep have a tendency to follow that one picture, and think, oh, everybody's bad. And I'll give you this as an example, okay? Let's say, for example, that a lot of the talk that China does ever attack the United States, total hypothesis here, or, hypothetical situation, but let's say it happens, okay? There are many Asian Americans in the United States, okay? Again, same thing, been here for generations. Even if they're first generation, they're American citizens, they live here, everything like that. I challenge anybody to, even at any sort of distance, to be able to tell if somebody is Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Filipino, whatever, from a distance, okay? Even up close, you're not going to know, all right? This isn't going to be, in my hypothetical here, this is not going to be a conventional battle, okay? There's not going to be a bunch of guys wearing Chinese uniforms versus a bunch of guys wearing American uniforms. It's going to be urban guerrilla warfare. That would be how this would happen. So everybody is going to be in a t-shirt, or whatever it would be. Yeah, you're going to have some people who are going to run around in camo or whatever. That's fine, okay? And there would be some sort of organized militias and military. But a lot of the people are going to be just regular civilian clothes. And if you think about it, how would you want, if you were trying to infiltrate somewhere, how would you want to go in? Gray man? Oh, you don't want to go in with uniform on that says CCP on it, okay? You're going to go in a t-shirt and blue jeans and try to assimilate into the crowd, okay? Gray man works both ways, guys. You got to remember that, okay? But that's the first one. Second one, again, politicians that are how they try to divide and conquer. Aiding and promoting those who are willing to cooperate with the sovereign. Have we seen this constantly here? Boy, if you agree with what the current administration says, we'll bow down to you. We'll give you anything you want. Boy, if you disagree, we're cutting this off, we're cutting that off. You're not allowed to go here. You're not allowed to go there. Okay, number 2. Number 3, fostering distrust and enmity between local rulers. Okay, can you see that? Again, this goes right back to what I said at the beginning. Pitting blacks against whites, Democrats against Republicans, blacks against Asians, Hispanics against whites, whatever would be. This is what they're trying to do. They try to pit everybody together. This is not a new concept, okay? If you go back even to American history, okay? The American Indians, a lot of the tribes fought against each other. I mean, they're all of, to use the term, Indian blood, okay? But, if they were Sioux, if they were Cherokee, if they were Chippewa, whatever it would be, they fought amongst themselves. Okay, usually it was for territory or for food. Trying to get land at Buffalo Rome and for sustenance or whatever it would be. But same group of people, ethnically, and just warring factions, if you will. Fourth one, okay, encouraging meaningless expenditures that reduce the capability for political and military spending. I don't know, the infrastructure bill that was passed yesterday, would that be a meaningless expenditure? The 91% of the bill that went through that was pure pork. This is what they do. Oh, we're trying to help you. We're going to do this. What are they doing? It's daycare, it's pre-kindergarten care, it's elder care, it's yada-da-da-da, it's all this sort of stuff. Tell me how any of that is infrastructure that helps everybody, okay? Help some people, I'll give you that, no problem, okay? But it's not, you build a road, that helps everybody. And even if you go, well, I don't have a car, well, it still helps you because now the ambulance has a way to get to your house. The fire department has a way to get to your house. The mailman has a way to get to your house. The UPS guy has a way to get to your house, okay? So yes, actual infrastructure does help everybody, okay? So how do they do this, okay? And this is where you come up with the big lie, okay? And there's a quote, a lot of you guys probably know it. It's been attributed to Joseph Goebbels, but it's never been proven that he actually said it. There's been no actual written word, tape recording of the speech or whatever. But if you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. The lie can be maintained only for such a time that the state can shield people from the political, economic, or military consequences of the lie. It thus becomes vitally important for the state to use all of its powers to repress dissent, for the truth is the mortal enemy of the lie, and thus by extension, the truth is the greatest enemy of the state. Okay, let's look at all the lies. There was a story somebody sent me yesterday about the Biden administration wanting to have a national registry of firearms again, okay? And again, they keep coming up and saying, oh, gee, all these automatic weapons, are committing all these murders and everything, okay? And the facts prove that, you're more likely to die in a car accident than you are in a shooting. But, we're not outlawing cars. You're more likely to die of liver damage from getting, from drinking too much than you are from a shooting. But we're not outlawing liquor. You could take that one. You can take the whole white privilege thing that fizzled out. So now it's going to be critical race theory. You can take every one of these lies. I don't have to tell you what the biggest one is, okay? And in the interest of keeping me out of trouble, I'm not going to. But this is the whole point. If you tell this lie enough, people start listening to it and start believing it. And they've told the lie enough for decades about, oh, this race is being persecuted or that race is being neglected or whatever. And eventually people start to believe it. And that drives the division. And that's what they're trying to do. Every politician's trying to lie to you about, oh, we're trying to be so inclusive and bring everybody together. And in the back room, you got LBJ, comments like, I'll have these N-words voting Democrat for the next 100 years. Okay. Yeah, he actually said that. But, don't for a second believe that, what you're being fed is true. Okay. The old joke, how do you know a politician is lying? His mouth is moving. Okay. This is it. They all tell you they're going to do all this sort of stuff. None of it ever happens. Hey, where's all the student loan forgiveness, Joe? You campaigned on that like crazy. I don't know about anybody else, but, I'm still paying student loans for my daughter and everything like that. And I haven't seen those forgiven. It's like I said at the top, know your enemy, okay? And prepare for the enemy. We all know people of different races, different creeds, different colors. It pisses me off every time I see things like Rashida Tlaib out blaming the Trump administration for the problems that are going on in, what was it, Israel, I think it was, or something like that, even though it's all Biden's doing. Or who'd you have? You had AOC blaming the Jews for the eviction moratorium. No, I'll blame the people who didn't pay their rent with all the free money they got. Okay? But this is what they're trying to do. They are trying to pit us all against each other, because if we're all fighting against each other, they just sit in the back, wait for all that to clean up, and then they go in and take out the last remaining people. And if you don't think that's it, this is exactly China's deal. China's looking at this going, we got this, because all the little American factions, little groups, are going to fight against each other. And when they're done, and 70% of the population is history, then the American government's going to come in, whatever's left of it, and go, okay, now we're going to take control over all these little groups, and we're going to get rid of all the people that don't follow the New World Order, World Economic Forum mantra. And when they're all done, China's going to come in and go, okay, now we're bringing in 1 billion screaming Chinese, and we're going to wipe all you guys out, and we're going to bring all in under communism. The end. Have a nice day. Pinball out.